Warning. Warning. The Freestyle Club contains adult language. It is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. This is Freestyle Club with your hosts, DaUnknownAdmin, Rafael Reyes, and CPR, Jose Ortiz.
Welcome once again to another edition of the Freestyle Club. My name is CPR Jose Ortiz, and I'm being joined by the unknown admin, Rafael Reyes.
What's good, you bastards?
Now, let me ask you about that intro. People are asking me why you calling people bastards.
For real?
Yeah, why is he always calling me a bastard? I'm trying to support your show.
Dude, that's how we go back to all the way to the boards.
It goes back to whatyourmissing.com.
Subscribe to the Freestyle Club podcast, DaUnknownAdmin.com, and CPRSmusic.com.
Joining us on the third chair this week, Vicki, now going by Victoria. Welcome to the Freestyle Club.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Let's talk about your daughter, Alexia. You've introduced her to the freestyle community. She has a brand new song called Starlight, available right now.
You are my starlight, shining high, so bright. You make me feel like dancing when I see you smile.
Why did you decide at this time it was a good time to have your daughter record a song?
I started training Alexia vocally myself when she was 4 years old. And she's actually been on several recordings, but they've all been, musical theater and Broadway. And she's been steadily training with the Royal Conservatory System. And now she's starting operatic training. And I thought at this age, she's only 11, it would be the time to have her record something professionally because she's had her feet wet in the recording studio. And she's been watching me for the last 2-3 years, flying back and forth to New York. And she likes to sit in the studio and just watch me. And, so when she went in there, it was just, she was a natural and she was in and out in 2.5 hours, did all her own harmonies. I didn't even have to do any harmonies for her. And I think it was just the right time to get her, to introduce her to the world.
My biggest concern when it comes to young children that are doing freestyle, sort of like when Lily Rose was introduced a year ago. Mm-hmm. There's also Natalia, and there's been a few older young ladies, 18-year-old Gabriella, a 19-year-old Audie Medina. And my biggest concern is that we scared them off sometimes. And what I would like is for the community to embrace these young ladies because they are the future of our music.
I totally agree with encouraging young aspiring vocalists. I mean, people don't know this, but I've been teaching voice. I have a master's in voice, and I've been teaching kids and adults, working actors, etc., for more than 30 years. And so we always have to inspire them and encourage them. And when you place them in this genre and, they see what goes on in terms of everybody has to be better than this person, and this person has to be better than that person. Nobody really wants to take part in all that. I have this saying, I don't bother anybody. I don't want nobody bothering me. And so it should be peaceful. Everybody should be, encouraging the younger generation. Everybody should be playing the music. Alexia has spoken to Lily Rose. We're hoping for a possible recording in the future, and that might happen with Natalia as well. We encourage stuff like that. But I think it's us adults that may scare these kids away.
You know what? I think that's my biggest concern when I started seeing these young artists come up one by one. I'm like, I just hope this doesn't turn into a competition. I have a kid now. My camp has a kid, and my kid's better than yours. Because you know how it gets sometimes petty. It gets petty sometimes, and that was my biggest fear with seeing these young ladies come up.
I loved meeting Lily Rose, and I had her FaceTime Alexia, and Alexia is dying to work with her. She's very inspired by knowing that there's somebody else out there that's doing the same thing that she's doing. And, with little Natalia out now too, I mean, all kudos to her. She should be out there doing that. If that's what she wants to do, if that's what her heart's desires, that's what she should be doing. But it's the adults around, and it's not necessarily the parents. It's everybody else that will say, oh no, that kid's better than that kid, or that kid's better. No, it shouldn't be that way. They all one day will eventually, if they stick to this, will share a stage together. So where do these 40 and 50-year-olds come out saying this kid's better than that kid? You know, none of them are registered adjudicators to know exactly, you know, who has training, who's better at this or who's better at that. No one should say. You know, everybody should be encouraging and supportive, I think.
Well, recently you were very vocal on social media in regards to your daughter being placed on poll for a countdown, and Natalia also being put on a poll for a countdown, which put them against each other on this huge list. You were not very happy with that. Was there a reason for that? How did you feel about that voting process?
I'm going to be straight up and very forward because I know the whole world's going to hear this one. But when I was requested to give Starlight out to, you know, the radio station, I did give it out only on one condition. And I was very upfront with that. And I said, here you go. Give it to all your DJs. But please do not put the girls in competition. That's not what this should be about. And 1 week later, long and behold, you know, I guess Natalia's release was out at 12 noon. And by the evening, there was some sort of a poll that I had heard about. And I went to take a look at this poll that I was unaware that I was on. And, you know, I didn't authorize my daughter to be on any such poll. Nobody asked me. Nobody, you know, told me this was going on. And all of a sudden, I see this happening. I'm like, okay, that's cool. If this is what it is. I did confront the station about it, and I was told that this is not a competition. Alexia, from my point of view, she's been working really, really hard. She trains very hard. She's been out there promoting herself, promoting everybody. You know, you got her on your show, she'll promote your show. You send her a T-shirt, she'll promote your radio station. She is out there working hard. And, you know, I think that's what it's all about, is getting out there and promoting yourself. So, you know, I don't think this poll has anything to do with the music, though, because, you know, you've got Alexia, who's out there for 2 months promoting herself, and then you've got Natalia, who's a beautiful little girl and has a beautiful song, you know, who's out there, and she's just been out there for a few hours, yet she's already number one or number two. So my question is this about how many cousins and uncles you have? The response I get is, well, you know, the people involved have a very big following. So does that mean because I do not have a following as big as the other person, then my daughter should sit at the bottom of the list? I don't think it has anything to do with music. And this is the sad part about polls and stuff. I mean, if you want to open that poll up, all you have to do is place a call to India and pay $4 and they'll give you 50 votes every hour. Okay, I mean, you know, there's a ton of companies that'll do that. And, you know, I mean, you've also got people that will go on there and create all kinds of fake accounts. I mean, I see one person on there who doesn't have no face, no background. He's got 2 friends. I don't know how much freestyle he knows with having 2 friends on Facebook, but yet he can vote.
When it comes to the polls or voting for your favorite song, this should be one of the methods that we use to decide, you know, who should be number one, or, you know, what songs are hot, or whatever the case may be. I think truly all DJs who have a countdown have forgotten how to push music, have forgotten how to get feedback for music to these countdowns. And I look at the ways that they gather their top 10s or the list, and it's like you got to Google Analytics, so that means that you have to share it for 2 days so you can get on the countdown. And then there's another poll where everyone can vote for everyone, and there's no rhyme or reason. And I just feel like we lost the art of promoting a song and pushing an artist, you know, one at a time. I'm not sure why people are such in a hurry to get a song to number one when we have a lot of time in our hands.
Let me ask you something. You get a song to number one on any of these iRadio stations. What benefit does the artist really have other than being number one and being known in the freestyle community? People out in California will still not know who that artist is. People out in Europe will still not know who that artist is. So people work really, really hard, and there's so much more outside the box.
There's a benefit to be number one on a countdown because you get the promotion and everything that comes with saying that you're number one. Is a good marketing tool, but these countdowns are more about the radio station and the DJ other than the artist, you know? And so sometimes we gotta really stop and think, hey, are we trying to push the music forward, or are we trying to attempt to promote ourselves? And yeah, there's certain promotions that come with, you know, you doing a countdown. I say that my my countdown is the only countdown that matters. I have taglines and stuff like that, but I'm very conscious on what service am I providing to the artist and what I would like the audience to come out with. I just see that we as a community have forgot how to push new music.
There will be a lot of people that will disagree that you're the only countdown that matters. I mean, we've seen that happen over and over. But then again, you know, we'll look at some of the other countdowns. For example, I don't really use Twitter. Many of my friends don't really use Twitter. So there's a downfall when you kind of narrow it down and put things in one corner, you know. For example, this poll that's happening right now, everybody must join the radio station Facebook page, which is a huge benefit for the radio station because you're going to get hundreds of new listeners. So there's a huge benefit for the radio station there. I just think, like I said, it's all about, you know, supporting everybody. Everybody should be nice to each other and support each other. And that's what this is all about. But anyways.
Hey, Ralph, you're an expert in these types of things, these polls, these Google Analytics. Do you have any insight?
This topic we could discuss for a while because to me, if you take it traditionally, what's a countdown? Is it based on listenership, how many listens a song gets on the air, but you can't measure that on iRadio, right? No one's measuring that. Is it sales? Well, how do you measure that? Right? How do you get the information from the artist? Are they going to give up that information? No. So, you know, you have to find a way. When you create a countdown, you have to find a way that you can measure some kind of metric. So, I mean, I like CPRs, but it could be tweaked a little. The other ones, I just don't get the rhyme or reason of how they come to the number one. If you have a countdown that is just participation where everybody gets to vote on anybody and everybody, how do you determine number one? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. The Twitter thing, again, like you already said, you have to be a Twitter user. I get Twitter notifications, but that's as far as my interaction with Twitter goes. I get a tweet on my phone, I look at it, and then I put my phone down. That's it.
Yeah, but the point is you got to retweet.
Right, well, that's the thing.
In order to get an analytic going, you got to retweet and retweet and retweet. So you got to be on your phone retweeting all day long.
Right. So, like I said, you know, I don't even. That's the extent of my tweeting. Is just looking at my phone when it goes chirp. I look at it, put it down. That's it.
When it comes to preparation, you know, I can tell you what I do to prepare. You know, I look at social media. I look at the promotions that specific artists are doing. Like, for example, your daughter, Alexia, she's plastered everywhere. I see her doing videos. I see her promoting herself. Whereas an established artist is not really doing anything to promote their song that specific week. So whatever is visible out there is what you want to take into consideration. You also take the DJ feedback. I have a panel that I go to. Ralph is included in that. I also include some of my mentors like Jesus Vasquez and people that are in the industry. I think about the request and the fan feedback. When I'm in my Facebook Live, I like to see what people are liking and what people are really pushing and what the company is doing themselves to get themselves out there. Also, I take into account, do they have any videos out? Did they produce something to get people captivated by what they're offering? And these are just some of the things that I take into consideration. I do put my own polls, but just because a person gets the most votes, it doesn't mean that every vote counts, because if I know someone is affiliated with that specific person, let's say they're a label mate or they're a family member or they're a fake account, those things I don't count. And just because the person that week got the most votes doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be number one. It's just feedback in the way that I comprise my top 10 countdown. We've been doing this for a long time. Previously, back in the day, you know, there were DJ record pools. We had meetings with other members of our radio show to ask them, hey, what's doing hot for you? What are people liking? What are people not liking? There was always this constant feedback from people, not because they were your friend, not because they were cool with you, none of that. It was just good, straight feedback, you know, and I miss that. I miss the pushing of records. Not a popularity contest, not because this is my boy, not because of whatever the case may be. I want it to be about the artist, you know, and I make sure that I'm talking about the digital distribution sites, how you can get that specific record available here, give them as much information as I can when it comes to that specific project. And that's the whole point of a countdown, is to promote the artist and promote that specific song.
As an artist, and as a mommy manager now, I think we have to thank, first of all the iRadio stations that continue to do what they do to keep the music alive. Because I know, for example, Alexia is playing and she's charting on, other stations, and they do have her on heavy rotation, and a big thank you has to go out. We have to appreciate what everybody's doing, but in the same respect, I'm going to put it in a positive way rather than in a negative way. I think, especially with the younger generation, okay, because these are the kids you don't want to scare away. My daughter already sees what's going on. She says, "Mom, do I really need to do another freestyle record?" Because she sees what goes on. She sees mommy upset about this or upset about that, and it's too draining. It's time consuming. We all have things to do. We're not going to sit there and play with our tweets and this and that. Putting it in a positive note with the young girls, especially, as I've said, we should all be encouraging, but we should give each child their own time to shine, meaning let's not overlap. I know some producers, when so-and-so is releasing something, well, so-and-so has to release it on the same day. Well, it happens 2 years in a row. When so-and-so releases a compilation, well, the other the competitor is going to release the compilation on the same day. And so if you do that to these young kids, what you're doing is you're taking away their shine. You got to give them their own time to shine. So if you hear, Alexia's releasing a song on October the 2nd, okay, well, you know what? Put yours aside for 2 or 3 weeks. Why do you want to take away her shine? Because you know what? I can definitely take away your shine too. You understand? And this is where the animosity comes in.
What kind of inbox messages do you receive when it comes to things like this? Because you're telling me during this conversation, that people are in competition or that they're saying things to you or trying to release near the time that you're releasing. Has there been that type of feedback when it comes to, your daughter or things that you're doing, people in your inbox?
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. So I stopped something dead in its tracks, and I have to thank that person for not continuing the interference. Let's call it an interference. And I think that shows me that person has a little bit of professionalism and understanding. Anyways, let's go forward.
I think that artists need to remember or maybe take into account that, there's polls, there's iRadio stations, but these things are tools. There's no guarantee that being number one on any station is going to catapult your career, right? You need to just use it as a tool. Hey, I'm number one on this station or number 5 on that station, and promote yourself accordingly. I see artists complaining that they're not making any money on Spotify. Well, listen, Spotify didn't guarantee anyone that they'll be making them rich overnight. Use Spotify as a marketing tool to catapult your career, not to, get rich, sit home and think that you're going to make a living streaming off Spotify.
We definitely count on the people, the fans, to purchase our music because, things do cost a lot. It costs money to fly to New York to work with so-and-so. It costs money to be in a hotel. It costs money to record. You've got to pay the engineer and the producer. Then it costs money to master it. It costs money to make it. Then you got to pay the graphic artist to create the graphic arts. I mean, if you want good stuff, I never cut corners. I will go all out in all my products going back to 1991. Every single product that I've had, I go all out. I don't cut any corners. I don't get my next door neighbor to do my graphics for me. These things cost money. And, I saw something happen last week. Accidentally, Alexia Starlight was on YouTube for I don't know how many days until somebody caught it and brought it to my attention. We took that off now, but I was just looking at the streaming. There was 30 streams was equivalent to 0.05 cents. So, it's hard for an artist, for example, to just give everything out for free all the time. If that's what we're getting paid, 0.05 cents for every 30 streams, that artist is not going to want to keep making music. They're going to want to go get a job or do something more realistically, financially feasible. And so that's why we say, please don't share. Please, go out there and pay the 99 cents. Go out there and pay the $1.29 or whatever it's going to cost, because that $1.29 multiplied by so much money, eventually that artist can can pay that expense of that recording and perhaps now invest in a new recording. And then we keep the music alive. People will continue to have music. But if we keep shutting artists down by not supporting the music and just sharing it, we eventually will just not record anymore because it is costly.
This is the Freestyle Club. Topic of the week. Let's talk freestyle.
In 2017, you released a 12-inch vinyl. It was a limited press, pink, a song entitled Have to Have You. It pretty much took everyone by storm because of the fact that the format that you decided to release it on was a 12-inch vinyl. What made you want to release a vinyl in 2017?
Several things. There's a lot of DJs out there, especially in South America and Europe, that still use vinyl. Most of my sales do not come from the United States. Most of my sales come from Europe and from South America. I got a call basically saying, what do you have left from your old vintage vinyl? We had like 13 Don't Break My Hearts left from 1990, whatever. And these Brazilians just bought me right out. They bought it all. And so I'm thinking, the next release I do, it should be, I want to bring vinyl back. You walk into a Barnes & Noble here in Miami, the first thing that you see when you walk through the door about 10 feet in is vinyl. I think vinyl is really replacing a lot of the CDs that are out there now. A lot of people are buying vinyl and they're going for a hefty price. They're not cheap because it's pretty expensive now. It's not like how it used to be. So I just wanted to bring it back. I think the next couple of projects there will be vinyl. But like I said, if the support is not there, distribution will strictly happen in South America and in Europe.
Now, you decided to also press your daughter's Starlight, and also
Yes.
You have a new song that's going to be released featuring Nick Colon, If I Come Back, and that's also going to be released in vinyl. And you also introduce vinyl packages as well.
The vinyl is it's for collectors. It's people who want to have something to hold on to, and 10 years from now or whatever, the value will go up. But this particular vinyl with the Nick Colon track, I've given DJs about a week to order. It's going to be a custom order. I'm not going to make 500 copies. I'm not going to make 1,000 copies. Whatever order I get by Sunday, that's what I'm pressing, and maybe an extra 5 for myself and, for a few special friends. Wink, wink. Other than that, I don't want DJs calling me 3 months later saying, "Oh, can I get that vinyl?" because they're hoping that my price is going to go down. I can't do that. I'm not at a flea market. It is what it is. We're really not making. If I sell you a record for $35 or $45, would you believe me if I told you I'm not even making very much on it? You're lucky if you make $5 on it. So some people will turn around and say, well, that's too much. Well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, vinyl costs a lot these days. Unless you're printing maybe 1,000 and you can sell 1,000, then your unit price might go down to about $10 with expenses, maybe $15. Maybe you can sell it for $20. But manufacturing price right now, you're looking at 100 units anywhere between $1,500 to $1,800 for very good quality vinyl at 180 gram weight, not the cheap, standard 140 gram weight. Color jackets, labels, not your typical, white sleeve, and there you go. That brings your unit price to about $18, $20 already just for manufacturing. If you put the production cost in there, if you paid $1,500 for your production, let's just say, that brings your price now to about $33. And if you have flown somewhere and you have expenses, that will bring your price up even further. We're already at 33 and you're selling a record for 35. I mean, do the math.
I didn't quite understand that whole digital portion of it. Where was it the DJ buy the vinyl now and they get the digital a week later? Or can you just explain that a little bit more for me?
If the DJs order the vinyl, okay, because it's a custom order, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to actually get the physical product in your hand. We don't want the DJs to wait 8 weeks to get the product in order to play it. So if you actually order the vinyl, you'll get that in about 8 weeks, but you will get all digital versions immediately so you can play it. And I always do that. I always do that with every release. If you purchase the actual product, you'll get the digital version right away.
When did the digital only version become available to the masses?
To the public, we will be. It'll be released on Monday. October the 1st. There's 5 different versions, and it'll be available for anyone who wants to purchase it.
To me, here's the problem with that marketing scheme. The majority of DJs on Facebook are digital DJs. Some of them still collect vinyl, but the majority are digital. So what some of these guys are going to do, the majority of these guys are going to do, is they're going to wait until that digital version becomes available and get that instead. They're going to pay the $1, $2, whatever it is, to get the version they want and forego the vinyl altogether.
And that's fine.
I think to me, what could have been a better work was to hold that digital vinyl at least a month to entice the DJs to get the vinyl, because they can always rip that vinyl.
Okay, so what you're saying is move the digital date.
Move it back at least a couple weeks to give the vinyl a chance to sell. Because, like I said, a lot of them are digital DJs. If they get the vinyl, they're going to rip it and play it.
Yeah, I look at it this way. Whoever collects vinyl is going to buy it, okay? They're going to buy it regardless. Okay,
definitely.
Regardless. Whether it's this week or next week, I'm giving you a week to buy it, okay? Whoever rips basically the digital and shares it with their other 5 buddies is going to do it anyways. So whether I release the digital on Friday, Monday, or in October, let's just say, Johnny down the street buys the vinyl and he gets his digital right away. He's going to share it with another 5 DJs in a matter of an hour.
If you're talking about the true collector, right, because you're saying that the true collector is going to get the vinyl, the guys that I know will never share a digital rip. They will never share it because they spent the money on that vinyl. You want that song? You go buy the song. I had to buy it. You're going to buy it. You ain't going to get it free from me. I don't care. You're my boy, but you're not getting it.
Well, like I said, it's the DJs that support the music will continue getting music. If these guys continue to share like that, like the way that some of them are, and word does get around, the sad part about it is, you're not going to have, the artists are not going to have the funds to go back in and record, good quality music.
I totally agree. The artists should be paid for their work. But, I started a conversation in a group that just was created, I think maybe a week ago, by the Santana Twins. It's called Freestyle and the Funky Melody Vinyl Only Group. The topic I chose was, how much are you willing to pay for new school freestyle vinyl? And it kind of went crazy with it. To the point that I think I'm going to invite some of these DJs to sit on each other's lap and share the third chair, for a sausage fest. Because, everybody was very passionate about what they had to say. And from their point of view, why would $75 for a vinyl is crazy. $45 to them is too much. A lot of them say, listen, don't give me the color. Give me the vinyl with the different versions that I need at $20 to $35.
Okay, let me tell you something. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of cheap, low cost vinyl products are not really vinyl. Somebody's selling you something for $15 or $20. It's not vinyl. It looks like vinyl. It feels like vinyl. It plays like vinyl, but it's only going to last you about 35 plays. It's called a lathe cut. Okay, and this is what the DJs, some of them don't know. It's unfortunate that some of them are not as knowledgeable, but they're looking for something that's $15 or $20. Well, here you go. You got 35 plays. They don't really know that though, because it looks like vinyl, feels like vinyl. It's just not cut the same way.
No one's saying 15. Believe me, they know that it's not going to go for 15. But I think the consensus was anywhere, between 20 to 35, somewhere there. That was kind of the loose consensus reasonable? Because everybody has, everyone has their own price. So I just took the average and narrowed it down to about 20 to 35, somewhere there. Okay.
That is a very reasonable price if you're pressing 1,000. No, if you're pressing 1,000 for 1,000 copies, that's a very reasonable price. But you have to understand, the freestyle, genre itself is not that big. You're not going to sell 1,000 vinyl in a matter of. It's going to take you a while. Let's put it that way.
I agree with you 100% there. Yeah.
Most people will not go out and spend, $5,000 pressing 1,000 vinyl, and then they're going to have boxes sitting in their house for the next 10 years. I mean, you just don't do that. So there's no possible way to get. Vinyl for $25 a pop, if the artist is just, manufacturing anywhere from 100 to even 500 copies.
I have a follow-up question on that. You stated previously that your market for your vinyl is overseas. So you're looking to sell your product overseas more than actually here in the U.S.
They're going to sell regardless. I mean, I press my vinyl. I have my people in both places, and they'll sell. So it doesn't really matter if by Sunday I only get, 50 orders, let's just say, or whatever. People have their different markets.
Definitely, because we've seen some artists market. To me, in my opinion, it looked like they're marketing straight to the Brazilians. I'm not going to pull any punches. When I look at what they're offering, it's definitely catered to the Brazilians.
You have to be careful. I saw online someone actually took a copy of Be Mine, I guess ripped it, made their own glass master, made their own vinyl with a completely different label on it. And they sell them. They're smart that way. But you see, back in the days, I mean, I've been traveling through Europe. I've been as far as North Africa on tour. And so I have a following out in North Africa. I have a big following in Italy. I have a following in Spain. So these are direct markets. You can send 50 copies here, 50 there, 50 there, and they'll be gone.
We had an artist on. Can't say their name, but they told us that when they get their vinyl out, they already got 200 orders going to foreign countries here, a foreign country there. So, it works out. But, again, I'm just relaying what I'm hearing from the DJs that I know and the DJs that were in that group.
And that's why here when people, they get all hot about certain topics, you just have to kind of smile and keep it moving. You can't get all hot and bothered about things.
No, that's what I'm glad that you're here to at least give your perspective so they can hear, the artist's point of view, right? That's why you're here.
I forgot to mention Germany. Germany is a very big market for me.
Well, so it appears that freestyle is a big commodity now.
It is. In certain parts. It is. It's unfortunate we don't have the FM. The big radio stations playing more of it. Back in the day, coming down here in Miami, it was just all over the stations. And Mr. DJ Laz down here, he continues to play it on and off. But it's just, I think hip-hop has really taken over the airwaves.
Victoria, I also want to bring up another thing that I saw in your package. And I hope you don't think I'm picking on you, but I just want you to explain these things so everyone could understand. You had a DJ package, which was, in my opinion, more of a collector's package because it just had one copy of each. For me, for it to be a true DJ package, it should have two of each. You follow me?
Okay.
No, so I was just thinking.
You buy two packages.
You buy two packages, right? There you go. So you hear that, guys?
Was that really a question?
No, because if you're going to market it as a DJ package,
you know what? I could have made all kinds of packages. I could have said, hey, you know what? 2 of this, 2 of that. I think whoever is interested will definitely hit us up and let us know what they need. I got people that want 5 copies. They want to buy 5 copies or 13 copies. They want a little bit more of a discount, so they'll ask for discount. They'll say, hey, I want 13 copies. So what can you guys do for me if I buy 13? And definitely will work something out for you if you want 13. But I know what the guy is thinking. The guy is going to go and sell them and make profit on them. Just like the Brazilians, you sell them for discount, and then they go out there and they sell them for $80 a pop.
Well, so, every business is a haggle, right? Everyone's going to haggle.
What? We're selling records. And it is, if it makes everybody happy and it's financially feasible on both ends, go for it.
This is Freestyle Club with your hosts, the unknown admin, Rafael Reyes, and CPR, Jose Ortiz.
Victoria, you're known for being part of the Canadian freestyle movement. You were part of Bass Productions, also Te Amo Records, with songs like Be Mine.
Be mine. Be mine. I'll be so true.
Calls of Love.
Calls of love. I'm calling you back. My calls of love.
Don't Break My Heart.
Break my heart.
Victoria, when it comes to Canadian freestyle, what can you tell us? You were there at the inception of Canadian freestyle and some of the first releases to ever come from Canada. How did they go about releasing some of these first songs?
When I first started, I was first signed as a writer by Power Records, which is a very, well-known independent dance company at the time. They had quite a few hits out, and the fellow Vince DiGiorgio, who has gone on to do very big things, very reputable person in the industry. I started working with him at a very young age, and I remember, before I landed that deal, walking into all these record companies with my cassette tape in my hand at the age of like 18, trying to get a record deal. And I remember Vince, signed me on with a publishing deal, and I got very inspired. I wrote a lot. I have a huge library in the hundreds. As you already know from my discography, there's a lot released already. But aside from that, from there, I decided, what? I want to be a singer. I don't want to just be a writer. I know I was a good writer. I've playing the piano for years, but I wanted to be a singer. So, I started taking lessons with the best, teachers in Toronto at the time, and then started flying to New York and so try to take, lessons and learn, because learning is very important. And then I decided I wanted to release a song that I spent so much time writing because I wanted it to be perfect. And it was Be Mine. And so I approached a fellow friend, Massimo Rosati, who I knew at the time had a studio and was recording stuff. Didn't know much about anything, talked to him about it. He says, yeah, we're going to do this. I said, okay, what is it going to cost me? Here's the cash, do it. And, he put together, I can't remember how many mixes it was, but I remember clearly that the A side of that record was a house record, because house was very big. We had Nick Fiorucci, who is, still very, prominent in the business today, with his label High Bias Records, making sure house was is huge, and it still is. But the A side was a house version, and, the B side, I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what freestyle was, but it was freestyle. And so this record went out mostly to people in the United States. I did a lot of research. I found, all the distributors, all the stores. I mean, it's a lot of work. Back then, you had to do everything yourself. And the song on the B side, which was the freestyle version, all of a sudden started charting on various, record pool charts. And before long, I was being called to do this show and this show. And I mean, I back then, I remember performing with Cynthia at the Fun House in West Palm Beach. We're talking 25, 30 years ago. So it kind of spiraled into me having all these high profile performances. But as a young kid, I had to go back home. I had to go back to Toronto. So I think after that, initial kind of spark, everybody and anybody wanted to be a freestyle singer. And I really mean everybody and anybody. So, the second thing, what happened in my career, I was approached by a fellow named Ben. I can't remember his last name, but he was in charge of his new company called Tiamo Records, and he came to me and said, I would like you to sing this song. And I was young. I said, yeah, sure, this is what it's going to cost you, and I will sing the song. And I helped the kid out, I gave him my contact list, and so that his record my record as well, can go to all my contacts in the U.S. So I was actually officially the first artist on the Tiamo label, and helped him get that business going with those contacts.
I remember that blue label with the little heart on it. It was like...
Yeah. The only record that I recorded with Tiamo was that one, and it was called Calls of Love. It was a song, I can't even remember who wrote the song. I just was hired to go in and cut the vocals. They wanted Victoria so that they would have the same success. The problem, though, is, these kids were new. They did not hire the right people to do the production in the same way that Mo is not with us anymore, rest in peace, but they did not have the same quality in production. And, the drum kit for freestyle is very important. And the drum kit that was put on that record was more of a rock drum kit. So what ended up happening was I started getting all these calls saying, what is this? We can't sell this. We want freestyle. The sad part about it is I said, well, if you're not going to sell it, you got to ship it back to the kid. And so unfortunately, Ben had a bunch of these records probably sitting in his basement for I don't know how long, but he did learn that if you want to produce quality music, you have to have, the right drum kit, the right producer, the right engineer. You got to have it together. And so, I went on to do other things. And, that's when the next artist that came out, I think, right after me was Manuela.
So don't try to come back to me. I don't want you back. Can't you see the love I know, the love we share? I think you'll find it's no longer there. So don't try to come back to me.
A very, strong vocal. After her, I think, was Joey.
They had Manuela and they sampled Battle of the Heart. They sampled that beat, and man, was I pissed.
Well, I don't really follow what everybody else does around me, but I do remember that Joey did very well for himself, but also for the record label. He was the first big artist. He's got a gorgeous voice. He's got great stage presence. They really lucked out with Joey. And, after that, everything from Joey until 2012 was a big blur and question mark for me because I have no idea. I didn't follow. I didn't really want to be a part of it because, like I said, every single person was trying to, hey, cousins, uncles, like Alexia says, get your cousin to sing a freestyle track. Get your cousin to sing a freestyle track.
My biggest pet peeve with Canada, and it continues on in 2018, is that they just can't let go of the Planet Rock beat. Everything is Planet Rock and Planet Rock. And as a matter of fact, I might have the unknown admin doing an outburst in a few seconds. But,
Yeah.
but Joey from Intonation just produced a track for Sony recording artist AP3 Audio Playground, and he used the Planet Rock beat for that specific remix. Here we are in 2018, and they're still using elements from 1984. It's just, it's crazy.
Like I've been hiding under lies that told me, like I'm trapped in this disguise that over time controlled me. If I couldn't give you everything your dreams are made of, if I said I was down and out, would you love me just if you love me just?
In Canada, there's a rule, and that rule is that you have to play popular artists, but you also have to play artists from Canada. So I understand how freestyle in Canada became so big because they were mandated to play their own local talents. But it also
not necessarily, because everybody knew that I was the one that started the movement there. Okay, like I'm just finding out now actually that Mo, the original producer of Be Mine, did a recording just previous to mine, and it was an artist by the name of Leo, and apparently it's a freestyle track. We didn't really know what freestyle was, to label it that at the time. And so there was somebody just before me, but nobody really followed the trend. So nothing really happened after him. And then, I came along. I think there was another woman as well. And nothing happened after her. Nobody kind of continued that trend. It was only after I recorded Be Mine that, like I said, every, Billy, Bob, and Joe wanted to record and get these freestyle compilations together. It was actually ridiculous. I can't bear to listen to some of the stuff. So I stepped back. And when I stepped back, all this stuff was getting played on the radio, but would you believe they would not play Victoria? They would not play a Vicki track.
Were you?
I don't know who-
Were you railroaded because of the way that you felt about the music coming out from that?
I was
period?
never vocal. I'm never vocal, about certain things. I was never vocal. I just made my own decision to step back because I did not want to be a part of the circus. It was a circus. And I stopped performing, which is another reason why sometimes even today I don't want to perform anymore. I don't want to be a part of a circus. And, I had a music degree. I had a very prestigious position with the Conservatory of Music over there. I was traveling all over the world with this position. I had my own businesses. I had 3 music schools. I had a recording studio. I was making a ton of money. I could not, leave what I was, trying to accomplish to go and do a freestyle show at a club, or record another freestyle track to compete against the nonsense that was going on. So I just left it, and I was just, focused on making my money and my business, and then again my kids, and that kind of led me to here in 2012 in Miami, bumping into a few people asking me, why am I not singing? And I said, well, isn't freestyle dead? So you have to understand, from Joey until 2012, I was totally like in a different world. I was in a corporate world, let's put it that way. And it was only until 2012, when my friends were showing me these flyers that there's still freestyle explosions, and Cynthia's still performing, and this person's still performing, and Johnny's still performing. I'm like, really? Yeah, you should start singing again. And then, music started coming to me, and one thing led to another, and here we are. I'm still trying to retire, but nobody's letting me retire.
Well, the good thing about it is that you have the future already, launched, and that is your daughter, Alexia. So
Yes.
your legacy will carry on with her. And now, let me ask you about some of the artists from Canada and get your opinion on them or any thoughts that you may have. What are your thoughts on Chris and Alexia Phillips?
I'm always thinking of you, wondering what I can do. Turn back and walk out that door. I just can't say goodbye. I keep thinking of you.
Chris, you probably have been doing some research. I met Chris. I never met Alexia. I met his dad. I can't remember who I met first. I think his dad was studying at the conservatory to try to get his degree in music, and bumped into me somehow and said he had a son who was into production. And then eventually I met Chris. He was a very talented young fellow who, was pursuing a piano degree. His parents, they own a music school. So he was, avidly teaching, and he was good. He was good at playing the piano and composing and recording. And so I said, hey, I found somebody that's at my level that I can sit and write with. And so we used to spend nights writing and recording, and that's how kind of Don't Break My Heart came along. And, I did take him on some shows with me. He did come and open up the Collage show in Toronto with me when they came, and, a couple of clubs here and there. And he got a taste of the industry. The sad part about all this is when I went away for about a month to perform, there was a duet that was supposed to be released between him and I. And when I came back, it was already on the radio, but my vocal was dropped and another person's vocal was put in, and that was his sister.
Yes, Chris and Alexia Phillips.
Yeah, so I did get an apology from the father, a very big apology, and he was kind, but it doesn't make up for putting a knife in someone's back. You understand?
How do you feel when you're compared to Elisa?
Who is Elisa?
Say goodbye to all the memories. Just you and me. You'll always be in my heart. You'll always be my baby. Goodbye to all the memories. Forever you and me. You'll always be in my heart.
I don't want to be rude. I really don't want to be rude. But you have to understand, there's so many of them.
On social media, there was a post about Alisa is the queen of Canadian freestyle. So, you know.
Well, listen, that was all out of spite. That was all out of spite because I blocked her ambassadors from the radio station over there for approaching me in a non-professional manner. If you're going to approach an artist, you have to approach the artist in a professional manner. I mean, this is business. We're not all friends. You can't come tell me, hey, yo, you know, what your goons doing listening to my radio station? Yeah, you're going to get blocked. Okay, so, you know, from that point on, I guess Victoria was not his favorite artist, and he chose someone else. I mean, that post went down quite quickly. I had my partner, Nick Cologne, handle that very nicely.
Bodyguard Nick.
By the way, he is my pit bull. So if anybody has any issues with me, he will take care of it.
For me, Canadian freestyle is like Bigfoot. With all due respect to the artists in Canada, I just it's all about the aforementioned Planet Rock beat. I mean, just talking about it, my eyes twitching. I'm breaking out into hives. So that's why I couldn't really get into it. I couldn't get into it.
The other problem is you can't take them seriously because, you know, I mean, just think about it. How many times can you remember 10 or 12 Canadian freestyle artists crossing the border to do a show just south of the border? Has that ever happened?
I believe the closest they've gotten to the United States is by crossing the bridge to Buffalo.
Okay.
To go to Niagara Falls.
And so the problem is they or we, because, you know, I mean, yes, I'm American now, but I mean, we're not. I was taken seriously from the beginning because my roots are from Miami. This is where I first, you know, came to perform. This is where my first shows were. You know, and then I recorded with Mr. Tolga Caddis, and he was here in Miami. So I have a very big, you know, roots here in Miami. But, you know, we're not taken very seriously on this side of the border because the American artists are more dominant than the Canadian artists. The quality of the productions and the producers here is tenfold bigger and better than whoever we can find in Canada. Now, I still have some very, very talented producer friends in Canada that are sending me music all the time, but they don't know what freestyle is. They have no clue what I'm doing, and they're following me, but they have no clue what I'm doing. They're big time, you know, producers that work for, you know, Sony, EMI. They do commercial pop, and so this is where, you know, I may need one of these guys for Alexia in the future. But they have no clue what I'm doing. They have no idea what freestyle is.
Well, I do give some props to some Canadian artists who did cross over to my radio station and that we did play. They did chart. People like Kathy Phillips, who was on Robbins Entertainment with I Wish, the wife of Chris Phillips. Of course, Alexia Phillips did a duet with Stevie B. I love Alisa. Tamara had a great song called Never Gonna Let You Go. Of course, Intonation featuring Joey, awesome. And of course, the last of the good artists from Canada, Zoe, who I was drooling over for many years. But you know, those are some people that stood out for me. Of course, AP3, signed to Sony Records. We got to give them props because they recently submitted some music with Flo Rida. The people that were listening to them here in the U.S. did chart them. I would say the most successful right now from Canada, the Audio Playground, AP3. And I want to give them shout-outs because those I do appreciate. But everybody else, it was just a hodgepodge of Planet Rock beats, and it's all a blur.
Yeah, it unfortunately is. Like I said, no disrespect to any of them, but like I basically was gone for about 20 to 25 years. So when you mention some of these names, I truly do not know who they are or what they've. If you ask me what did this person sing, I can't tell you. I don't know, and that's just being honest. So I'm not trying to be mean or I just don't know. It's been
Wow.
After Joey, it was kind of like, okay, I'm out of here.
As a Canadian artist, what has been your experience trying to break into freestyle in the freestyle scene in America?
I don't really think I tried to break into the scene. I just started releasing music again. And to my surprise, I had a following. It was really shocking. I got hit up so many times by different DJs here and there. Oh my God, she's back, she's back. There was a demand for new music, and I was kind of like, really? I have a following after 20 years of being absent, in hibernation. And it's kind of cool. It's really cool to be able to make music, and the demand for it excites people, and they want more.
So would you say being here in America has opened your career up as a freestyle artist?
No,
Oh,
no.
no?
I'm trying to retire, Ralph.
You're trying to retire. You don't want to hear about no career,
I
right?
don't want to hear about no career. I have my career, this is just, I'm kind of continuing the legacy. I want to try to leave behind as much as I can. My discography is huge. It's, actually, if you go onto my website, that's probably only half of what I'm exposing to people. I have recorded so much stuff under other names on different compilations.
Oh, you got to tell us about that. Tell us more. We want to know more. Do you have a Tony, Dr. Eddie Garcia story for us? Is there a Canadian version of that?
So maybe one day in the future, I will update that discography to include all the tracks that I've recorded under the various, aliases. But the discography is big, and I want to try to keep putting out as much as I can.
I had a pen out.
And then, of course,
I had a pen out with a piece of paper. I was going to start writing, but I guess we're not getting it.
I guess
That's
we'll
gonna
have
be
to
a
wait for. Yeah, we have to wait for her return.
moment.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I said, on the table right now for new releases, just to kind of, give you the picture where I kind of see things closing. Nick and I were really excited about the release of this particular record. This is what I want to really focus on right now, aside from keeping the Starlight going, because we're just, in the middle of finishing up that video for Starlight to make that happen for Alexia. With Nick, we still have to shoot the video and, try to get this song going. It's a song that I sat down at the piano and wrote the chords to. I actually sat down and wrote it myself. Then Nick added to it, and then the Santanas added to it. So it's been through 4 different hands. And at the end of the day, it sounded totally different than what I actually sat down to write. And I think it's a beautifully well-written track. So I'm kind of excited about, having people listen to this. I have an EDM track, something totally different, an EDM track that I recorded with Artie that's been sitting on the shelf. And it's going to be released, I guess, at a time when I need to be an interference to someone.
Oh, boy. Are you listening, Artie?
No. I love Artie. He knows, he's family. But no, it's not an interference to Artie. But it's just sitting on the shelf, and when the time comes, it will be released. That's just a simple EDM track. Just something totally different. My voice sounds totally different in that track, which is kind of cool. I have Be Mine. I've redone the vocals to Be Mine. So they've been updated, and that will be re-released hopefully in the near future, hopefully sometime in 2019. What else is on the table? Well, I guess it's safe to say that there will be a Carlos Berrios track coming out as well.
Wow, drop the bomb.
And that, I think, will be the culmination. What happens in between, I don't know really yet, but that will kind of put the cap on where I want to be. And, maybe at that point I'll put a best of collectors, 3 or 4 CD package out, and that's it. My focus has to be on Alexia. It's a lot of work involved with the little one.
How did you and Nick Colon hook up?
I just gave him a call. I said, hey, do you want to do a duet? He said, yeah, sure.
Wait. All you did was pick up the phone and give him a call and say, I want to work with you? That's it?
I said, yeah, you want to do a duet? He said, yeah, sure.
She picked up the phone. What a concept.
I mean, no, I actually messaged him, but no, it was very, Before we close, let me just say a word, about Nick, because he's played a very important, integral part in, this particular song and in this moment in my career. He is a super guy, first of all, very, very talented, and that's why I hand selected him. I hand selected Nick. I'm sitting here thinking, what voice do I want to work with? And I went through the male artists, and Nick just kept popping up. He's got this beautiful, range. In this particular song, you can hear his range go places where you have never heard it go before. And I like that. It's got a different variety in this particular song. And so I hand selected Nick for this. He's been more than cooperative. He's gone out of his way to do things, to meet me in places where we've got to write or work. He's been so kind, so respectful, and he's always been there for me. So, he's a great guy.
Definitely. I think he's a true talent. I think he should be, if not writing more, at least singing more, because I love hearing him sing. Yeah, So,
he has Nick, huge potential. This guy has huge potential.
Nick, if you're listening, let's me, get it going.
If I could add about Nick Colon, I appreciate Nick because he's a student of the game. This guy has interned for High Power Records. He's interned for Artistic Recordings. He's learned the history of our music and done everything in his power to learn and to listen. And those are qualities that you can't find from many artists that are out right now. They just don't want to listen.
Yeah, he will research. He will research before he speaks. Okay, he wants facts. He wants to know the facts. But he's very into learning. Like, I see some of the videos that they post up, and he's there late at night watching the guys edit. He wants to learn, and I think that's great, because you know what? Learning should never stop. I still am learning. I mean, I'm a teacher. I teach music. I teach voice. But every day I'm learning something too. I don't know how to operate this new, music production program that's out. I don't know how to operate this particular, instrument or manipulate this particular sound. There's always something to learn. And that's what I like about him. He's always learning.
I can't wait to hear produced by Nick Colon.
That would be awesome.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. Maybe that would be something he would probably tackle in the future.
This is the Freestyle Club. Pick Hit of the Week.
Welcome to the Pick Hit of the Week. Ladies first. Victoria, what is your Pick Hit of the Week?
I'm going to ask for my own song to be played so people can hear it. The song is called If I Come Back, Victoria, featuring Nick Colon.
One kiss from is all I need to believe.
If I come back now, will you save me, boy?
Come back, I would mend your broken heart.
Would you hold me and give me the love I deserve?
Come back now, I will save you, girl.
If I come back, will you mend my broken heart?
I will hold you and give you the love you deserve.
If I come back, if I come back,
So before we let you go, Victoria, let us know where the audience can find you.
I have updated my website to www.victoriaalexandramusic.com. And I did that because I've put together my classical bio along with my contemporary freestyle bio so that people can now learn a little bit more about who I really am.
And now, what about the DJ packages for vinyl? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to take orders up until Sunday and put the order in on Monday. So if anybody would like to purchase any one of those packages.
She has the DeeJay 12-inch package, $45 for one piece, Also, the DeeJay Duplicate VIP package, if you want 2 pieces, that's $75. And the DeeJay Experience package, $75 once again for 2 pieces. You can choose between If I Come Back and Starlight. They also have the DeeJay Collection package, which is 3 pieces. It has If I Come Back by Victoria featuring Nick Cologne, along with a 12-inch of Alexia Starlight, and Victoria's vinyl from 2017, Have to Have You, which is a limited press, as she stated. And what is your website once again?
www.victoriaalexandramusic.com.
Well, Victoria, thank you so much for joining us on the Freestyle Club.
Thank you for having me.
Unknown Admin, what is your pick hit of the week?
My pick is Like the First Time, sung by Miguel Reyes, No Relations, produced by Sal Medina.
Feels like the first time, falling in love again. Bring the best in me that I never thought I had. Feels like the first time, falling in love again.
My pick hit of the week is Sharon Masserin from her album The One. This is If I Could See You Again.
If I could see you again, if I could see you again, we wouldn't be less than friends. 'Cause you know you're the one.
That about wraps it up for the Freestyle Club. Until next time, it's CPR.
We got some news.
The Freestyle Club. Freestyle News.
Welcome to Freestyle News. Rafael Reyes, take it away.
Stand Up House Heads, we are now syndicated on a dance and house station called clubmegamixradio.com. It's a mouthful, but it's worth going to. It's nothing but house mixes, dance music, EDM, 24 hours a day. And they dedicated a Friday to freestyle, and the Freestyle Club and CPR's Countdown will be featured on that station. So once again, go visit clubmegamixradio.com.
Also, you can click the link at cprsmusic.com and DaUnknownAdmin.com. Truly proud. I never thought that people would want to replay these episodes of the Freestyle Club, but they're enjoying them to the fact that they're actually adding them to their rotation on their iRadio stations.
Oh, yes, very cool, no doubt. But also, there's other stations that reach out to us, so keep an eye out for those as well.
Excellent, excellent. Ralph, thank you for joining me this week. As always, we are the Freestyle Club. Until next time, a CPR saying goodbye. And remember,
peace, love, and freestyle.